Newsom's new $9.1 million mansion is quite a sight.
Indeed it is, but is that a blue roof?
This humble abode almost looks like a container house.
Yes, it does, but is that a blue roof?
Fully surrounded by large trees.
I mean, you can't tell me that's not like a shade of blue, right? I mean, really.
This part was an addition. It features a huge wooden deck and a pretty large backyard.
And a blue roof.
A decent-sized swimming pool. I honestly can't believe it costs $9.1 million.
Honestly, it looks a lot more, but that's a blue roof.
That's totally insane. Speaking of which, how does Newsom afford this on a salary of $224,000?
Because this motherfucker's literally stealing money from the taxpayers and taking some of that money and painting his roof blue.
If that were you or my salary, we definitely wouldn't qualify for this house.
Well, no shit, Sherlock. But that roof was blue, right? I mean, I'm not tripping, huh?
It's kind of weird how that works, huh? I also wonder why he didn't buy near Los Angeles.
Pretty weird. Pretty weird indeed. But you can't tell me that wasn't a blue roof.
Welcome to Ultra Top Secret. On this channel, we look at news items, but we look at them from a covert operation, PSYOP operation. Everybody else is just reporting the news. We report what's probably going on behind the scenes, why it's doing it, what the psychological operation aspect of it is. I apologize. I have been out for over a week. I've been sick, and we've also had a snowpocalypse happen. Snowpocalypse now. And so I'm not in the studio right now, and I wanted to make a video because I'm feeling better. So months ago, I was talking about how directed energy weapons were being used to destroy areas that they would then take over. I'm kicking myself because there was all kinds of information that showed that they were going to do this in LA months ago, and I didn't hop on it. There was a lady, Allie Carter, that has been coming out and talking about her deals, her interactions with Diddy and Will Smith and Rihanna. You ought to check her out. She's been talking about how she was passed around as a party favor at these freak-offs, how she was brought to these parties by her pimp, how she was put into this whole situation by being in child welfare services there in LA. So anyway, she has been dropping some very interesting information. Months ago, she said that there was going to be fires to cover up evidence in LA. And I remember hearing that and going, oh, and I just got sidetracked with something else. Other things have been happening. On this channel, I say that everybody should be their own intelligence analyst. Don't listen to the news. Take the news and take it for what it's worth, and then create your own intelligence mosaic and come up with, what's going on in the world. By doing this, you can figure out what's going to happen in the future. I've done it many times. I saw that that a war was coming, and then 9/11 happened. I saw the Great Recession coming. Those were easy. In 2017, I was telling everybody that 60 politicians were going to retire before the 2018 midterm elections. That was information that was put out. But what I'm getting at is you can figure out the future of future events by paying attention and looking at it at a certain point of view. This Allie Carter lady had said that there was going to be fires in LA months ago. And the smart city thing, many times on my videos, I've talked about how any city that has been slated to be a smart city ends up having some major apocalypse. Tampa got hit direct by Helene. Asheville, North Carolina got hit directly by Helene. Milton hit Tampa Bay. New Orleans got hit directly. They didn't quite vote the smart city thing in. Maui, smart city, got destroyed, and LA got destroyed. So we're going to see today that anything with blue roofs, anything that's blue does not burn, and also the trees do not burn, that these fires totally destroy these structures, brick structures, all the way down to the foundation. Meanwhile, there's so much heat or something happening. But then meanwhile, there's trees between the two houses that still have their foliage, still are intact, or if we're seeing that if trees have been hit, that they're burning from the inside. So we've got a couple videos here we're going to watch. Let's check this one out. People send me these videos and then we watch them. This short clip is a man that's talking about Gavin Newsom's new house. I think it's like $6 or $9 million. The guy probably makes as much as I do, and I can't afford no $9 million house, $6 million house. But we're also going to see that it has blue roofs. Very interesting. And I have talked about that in past videos where I've talked about how Epstein Island structures had blue roofs. And when you fly over China, either Beijing or Shanghai, there's a lot of blue roofs on these as well. They're getting prepared for something that we're not here in America. So let's check out and see what he has to say. So yes, after seeing that video, that guy actually brings up a very good point. They're saying it's 9.1 million, but he said it looks like it's more to me. Think about that. Think about that for a second. That was a massive compound. That doesn't look like a mansion. That looks like a compound. Compounds are where, things happen, plans are made, things are, brought in and out. Very interesting. So I wanted to, I played that at the beginning. I'm reacting to it now, but I'm also putting it at the beginning of the movie, beginning of the video. Sorry, I'm still kind of not feeling well, so I'm not mentally as sharp as I usually am. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at an awesome crew on YouTube called Brush Junkie, and she's going to talk about how blue bins, I did many videos on directed energy weapons, and one of the videos I showed and talked about how blue is on the spectrum where these lasers just for some reason it just deflects laser. It diffuses it or something. That's the thing about laser weapons. You can diffuse the light. This is like Star Wars type stuff, shields, stuff like that, where they would have shields and would deflect the laser blast or whatever. So this blue, it diffuses the radiation and light that comes from lasers and seems to not absorb the energy, which can then ignite it. So she's going to talk about all these blue items in Maui and also in LA that didn't catch on fire. Let's check her out.
Hello everyone, I'm Tracy. Thank you so much for being here. In today's video, I'm going to be showing the similarities that I picked out between the fire in Maui and the recent LA fires. So I'll be showing back-to-back photos because I've been hearing a lot of channels talking about LA and saying, oh, that's just like Maui, I think. And I just wanted to set the record straight and say that yes, these two events are very, very similar. So I'll start out with the aerial views of the two areas. This is Lahaina. As you can see, the structures are reduced to white ash, and we see that as kind of like a hallmark of these recent events. And here's Paradise. I mean, not Paradise, Palisades. Paradise looks like this as well, but this is the Palisades aerial view. As you can see, almost every structure is reduced to ash. And something else that we see in both of these incidences is that the trees are still standing. And I did a video with Robert Brame. I'll link it in the description, or actually I'll put it at the end screen. So if you haven't seen that video, it'll explain exactly how this happens, how a structure is destroyed and the trees are still standing. All right, and then another similarity is the damage to the cars. They look very similar. As we can see, the glass is almost always melted, and the engine blocks are often melted and gone, as well as the hood of the car. And you see the melted glass I believe this is Palisades or Altadena. There's another melted glass photo. And glass melts at a very high temperature, higher than any brush or forest fire does. Here's an example from Maui. This car with the missing windows, and yeah, the paint's completely gone. And this is from Maui. So again, we saw this melted metal very often in Maui. And here's a photo courtesy of Eric West at Hawaii Real Estate. He has a really amazing channel. He's the one that's on the ground that got a lot of footage and images of the damage. And you can see here the rim of this car, it turned into liquid. So it liquefied, and that requires a very high sustained heat source. So it is kind of unusual because we don't see a lot of, I don't think there was a lot of grass under here. I could be wrong, but this car has seen very, very severe damage that would be indicative of a very high temperature fire. Here is a engine block from Maui with the hood missing. Again, more pictures of the cars in Maui. I believe this is Front Street. This is where people got stuck in a traffic jam. There was also a traffic jam in Palisades, but I wouldn't say they were very similar, just that cars got backed up at some point. Also, there was no water in both cases, but yeah, that one's a little bit harder to explain, but there were, in both cases, no water to put the fire out. Okay, and then the next topic that I'm hearing a lot of people make the connection is the blue items that survived. So this is Lahaina, Front Street, and you can see this blue, I think it's a Ford Focus. So the other cars are completely torched, and that blue car stayed in pretty good shape. Even the lights are on. You can see the lights here. It could probably be driven away, possibly, but you see the part, everything is still intact and the glass is still there. The only thing that melted was the plastic siding, and that's probably from radiative heat. You see it right here. All right, and then so now I'm going to go, there are so many examples of this. I'm not even going to cover them all, but the blue items from LA house in Altadena, and it was amongst a neighborhood that was destroyed, but this blue house survived. And you can actually go to KTLA or KCAL and hear the story. And the family says that they saw the fire coming, they evacuated, but when they came back, the house was still in great shape and everything inside was just as they left it. And that's what they said. Their garage did burn down and was destroyed, but their blue house still stands. I believe this is the Palisades, so we can see almost everything is burned except the blue ping pong table. And many, many blue bins were left in areas that you would think would be melted, because you see this truck here is completely torched, but nearby these blue bins are still there. And they're plastic, so plastic melts pretty easily, but these seem to have survived very well. And then this is one of those examples that are very convincing, and this is courtesy of Eric West again. He was going through the aftermath and he found these blue shirts, and this is how he found them. He filmed this when he found them. They were still folded, so they're amongst everything that was burned. But these shirts, they didn't even have a hole. They weren't singed. They were just dirty. But how does that happen? They're not burned at all. And everything else around it is burned. Okay, and then we see these blue umbrellas outside of Tommy, Bahama. And you would think it's so close to, everything that got destroyed, but they are still in very good shape. And then this is from the Palisades. This is Cafe Vita. I've actually been here. I remember these green umbrellas. And as you can see, they're in pretty good shape. Also, they're made out of fabric. So, you know, they're talking about embers and the fire blowing around. You would think it would have hit these. And then this was interesting because, not necessarily because it was red, but red does seem to be a very resilient color. Resilient color in these fires. But if you look at like how much destruction there is on the left, and then this umbrella looks like it might have been melted. So maybe there was it was plastic, but it's in pretty good shape considering it's either made out of fabric or plastic. And you would think that would be one of the first things to go, but it's still there. Okay, now we're going to go back to Maui. This is a tennis court. The blue sign is still in really good shape. And now we're going to talk about another topic, and that is how the electrical grid seems to have been affected a lot more than you would expect. So here is a aerial view of the Palisades, and the utility company is actually taking out the transformer that burned underground. So the underground transformer managed to burn, and it looks like it might have exploded. And they were taking it out and inspecting it. And here is from the Emerald Plaza in Lahaina. So the smart meters were completely melted. And what makes this unusual is that the surrounding area, these whatever they're in, are still in good shape. The structure that is behind it was mainly metal, and it was completely twisted and warped. But by looking at the damage here, it seems like the heat was being conducted through the wiring and then came out this way, indicating it was an electrical source. Here's the same place. This is from the Emerald Plaza.
Awesome video. Those guys are absolutely awesome. They are all over the Maui thing. They're all over the LA thing. They are all over the hurricanes, the creations of those. We're seeing a lot of electromagnetic energy being used to create these hurricanes, which are then steered with NEXRAD radar stations. They're probably also pumped with cloud seeding. All of the steam from the Gulf is put into the atmosphere through tankers. Go check out this video here. I've done multiple videos on this stuff, and then lo and behold, this happens. I'm not surprised. A few points. The Maui thing's so weird. They moved that sheriff from Las Vegas, the guy that was involved with the cover-up of the firefight that basically happened in Las Vegas. We're finding out now that there was a rolling gun battles going on through that whole city, and looks like there was some type of assassination attempt on a Saudi prince that was second in line to become king there. That same guy who covered all that up then moves to Maui, and then he covers that up. And it's very interesting to me, in Maui, they put up walls, miles of walls around that city so people couldn't get in there and investigate the damage. And it makes me wonder, we know that sheriff is compromised. Is that whole department compromised? Because they, how do those cops feel in Maui that blocked roads so people couldn't get out, and then helped cover up the walls? There's videos of guys trying to, just pulling off on the side of the highway by the wall, and the cops tell them to get out of there. They are covering up the damage that's going on there. LA is too big to do it. Of course, there's a media blackout on the deal, so it's only going to be alternative news sites like this one that's going to talk about it. Very, very interesting. So we've got Gavin Newsom putting a blue roof on his house. We've got the mayor just conveniently out of town when this happened, just like in Maui, the guy that the governor there just happened to be out of town when it happened. And then they were Johnny on the spot there to try to buy up everything and stop aid from getting into Lahaina. This is like a Holocaust. This is thousands of people being terminated, and the news media is complicit. These politicians are complicit. You're not going to hear about it unless you listen to alternative news media sources like myself. And this, I'm putting out a plea to President Trump to please destroy these platforms that are doing this. They're either flying or they're in space. And I'm begging President Trump to make this a priority and stop this from happening. That's another interesting thing. This happened just before Trump's inauguration. It's looking like they're trying to do all this stuff before he gets in. They probably, the other ones, they thought Biden was going to win because they had done so many things to try to keep Trump out. I'm begging and pleading the Trump administration to please destroy these platforms, whether they be aerial or space, because we talk about secret space programs on this channel. There are secret space programs. There are craft that are more advanced than just chemical rockets. And I have talked about in other videos how the CIA has its own armed forces, naval forces, aerial forces, and probably space forces. They probably also have their own secret space program. I'm begging and pleading that President Trump destroy these platforms, and that might be why we're seeing so much UFO activity going on just before this off the coast of New Jersey. I talked about that. I got a video out where I showed UFOs lasering transformer stations in New Orleans during the hurricane. There is a secret war going on, and I'm begging and pleading that Trump starts destroying these things. This might be why we're seeing weird things falling out of the sky, weird bangs, weird stuff happening, an increase in UFO activity. It looks like the Chinese are finally catching up to that area. There is the United States finally caught up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And there may be the CIA may have their own secret space program. I'm begging and pleading that President Trump use the Navy SEALs to confiscate all of the oil tankers that put up the steam, the water vapor into the air that created these hurricanes. I'm also begging him to destroy these platforms, whether they be aerial or they be space, and protect the U.S. citizens. Thank you very much. We hope to see you on the next Ultra Top Secret. Please like, share, and subscribe.